Alright, let's do episode 3, the 3 last camera brands. I got my man bun up because we are talking Leica, Hasselblad and Phase 1. I'm just rating the company on how cool they are. Alright, let's get right into it. Leica, first up, the big L, the red dot that gets more old-timers to talk to you than a vintage motorcycle. So Leica basically made photography portable. They invented the 35mm camera by reusing 35mm motion film. And just because old mate Barnack didn't want to carry around the big large format camera and the massive tripod all the time. Is a man right after my gusto. Not long after, they also created a lens mount that's still around, the Leica M mount, which basically has some of the best lenses ever made and also some of the smallest, most portable ones as well. Dealer network and repair network in almost every country, and if you're on holiday and your 60-year-old camera breaks down, you can get it fixed on the spot. Ask me how I know. Even during the toughest time in a lot of camera companies' history, they kind of saved face with the Leica Freedom Train. You should look that up. Hopefully that becomes a movie soon. I think it's an amazing story. Slept through the SLR revolution, but I also think that was mostly because it meant heavier and bulkier cameras again. And for what? Just so you can focus a little bit closer and focus better with longer lenses. Actually, that's more niche photography in my opinion. When it came to the digital revolution, Leica was there right away with the Leica M8. They didn't go all in with video features, of course. That was never their focus. And they wanted to keep parts of their camera still mechanical, which is the reason why they're still worth quite a bit. Leica never kept up with the latest specs, but their models are still fetching prices on the used markets that rival new releases. I would argue that something that holds value that well is cooler than something that does not. Leica, I think, please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, is the only brand that has a camera with every sensor size, even ridiculously expensive medium format cameras, of course full frame, APS-C with the Leica T's, and even some Micro Four Thirds models together with Panasonic. Criticism would be, of course, the high price tag, which is a big gatekeeping factor that only breeds snobbery. I'm not a fan of that, but it's still possible to get your hands on a Leica. And some would argue that you save money in the long run because your camera is still serviceable for the most part. With other, especially analog cameras, if they break, they're gone, and then you lost that money. But yeah, we all heard about the dentists and the lawyers who buy the things to never use them, or collectors who just drive up the prices. But it's nice to know that your camera was assembled by people who are being fairly paid and have real workers' compensation. As much as I think it is silly as a first camera to buy, older film cameras and some digital cameras are kind of purchasable for normal people, even if it means that you have a ticking time bomb possibly in your pocket that could render your investment worthless after a shoot. Leica was on the brink of bankruptcy a few times. First, the cooperation with Minolta helped them out, and I think Minolta benefited from that partnership as well. And I'm pretty sure they enjoyed a collab with Leica better than their collaboration with Sony years later. Transition to digital was rough too, but working with Panasonic kind of kept them spec-wise at least almost on par with other brands. And I think it's a real partnership again in the L-mount alliance, compared to other companies who work with brands but basically cripple their third-party lenses to a point that it's not fun anymore. I reckon Leica is a solid S tier, and we did barely talk about the lenses. I mean, come on, some Panasonic Leica Micro Four Third lenses are even amazing. and look better than full frame lenses. All right, next up is Hasselblad. Abbey Road was shot on Hasselblad. Most iconic portraits of musicians, actors, or politicians were shot on Hasselblads. So yeah, they're special. But they are even further out of the realm of purchasable cameras. Beautifully designed large format. I love the idea of the digital back that you can reuse fairly seamlessly with old equipment. They're crazy focused on large formats and waist level viewfinders, which makes them the best in that niche for sure. They're also very timeless looking cameras and are working on the highest level. If I know someone who really loves landscapes or photos and basically doesn't do much else and has a disposable income, I would steer them towards a Hasselblad camera. Just because, why not? If you can, why not have the best tool for your job? I actually wanted to give them ST as well, but then I researched it a bit more and read about their cooperation with Kodak. And wow, nepotism much. They had an exclusive distribution deal, a handshake deal made with Kodak and the Swedish distributor, which meant you basically couldn't buy anything else for ideas in Sweden, which was the primary revenue for Hasselblad's company division at least. Victor Hasselblad's grandson Arvid also was sent to fancy schools and after that to Rochester, New York, to work as a protege of George Eastman himself, which gave him a big insight in their distribution and manufacturing of all that, which gave them a large leg up, of course, against other companies. It also took them quite a long time to put the camera into consumers' hands, which I think, that's putting gatekeeping in a whole nother level that way. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. But yeah, of course, I still have to give them the A tier for inventing digital medium format and the X-Pan. But yeah, that nepotism keeps them out of S tier, unfortunately, because that's a shitty move. Now they're acquired by DJI, which kind of brings that whole distribution drama from earlier full circle. I don't mind. Like, DJI is a good company. They're working closely with Leica, which is a bit odd, of course. But yeah, that's how it is. Just the world we're living in. Larger corporation by the smaller ones. So yeah, I think they are deserving of the A tier and not the S tier. Okay, lastly we have Phase 1, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people almost forgot about, and myself as well. I don't know too much about them. I researched a bit. I found it quite boring how technically advanced their cameras are, and they're basically out-speccing everyone. But also they're financially completely out of this world, which makes them kind of useless for ordinary people. That's why I'm generally not a big fan of a company like that. So I'm slapping them straight into B tier without going further into it. If you're a person who can afford a Phase 1 or a person who are looking into Phase 1s, I think you're living in your own little bubble, and yeah, good for you. How long did I record for? Fuck, 17 minutes. That will be a lot of editing again. Cool, but I'm done with this show. I can soon review the Sony A7C II and finally show some Thailand photos, hopefully. Thank you for listening. Adios.